Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Football Suite Chat Show. I'm your host Leon, and as always with me, my co-host Richard. This week we have a returning guest, Andrew, the Arsenal fan. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm really good, thanks.
What made you want to come back on the show again?
It was so good. I just had to come back on. I mean, you guys, what you've done here is just a great idea, and the way you've done it is just great.
Well, I know we both want to thank you for that, and we also want to say a big thank you to Doc Landers for giving us the shout out. It gave us a lot of exposure out there and a lot of views on our videos, and hopefully the subscribers will enjoy this new video. Sorry for the delay in the video. We had some technical issues, but it's all sorted now and we're bringing back regular shows. Our topics for today are match analysis from the weekend's games, the topic of Premier League overseas, the proposal of the 39th match played abroad, which in my opinion is ridiculous. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Oh, it's a bit embarrassing, really, and to be perfectly honest. Man United fans travel far enough, don't they, from London? So travel over from different parts of the world. I don't think they'll be able to afford it. Exactly,
the working man's game, eh? The next topic, can Arsenal fully replace Arsene Wenger? A topic I know Andrew is very interested in. And the topic after that will be the Ballon d'Or trophy and the structure of the award and how it's developed over the years. So let's get into the weekend's fixtures. Liverpool versus Hull. Did you guys get to see the match?
I got to see the highlights on Match of the Day, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but last time I was on, I said Liverpool without Luis Suarez don't score, and here we are again. A few weeks later, and I'm saying the exact same thing. It's just fair enough. Hull are a good side. I've seen them live. They're great defence. They are a proper team together. But Liverpool, it's just Richard must absolutely be loving this.
I think every fan is. To be fair, I'm not a big lover of Liverpool personally, but it's strange to see how they've changed so much by just one player. I know Sturridge is injured, but personally, I don't think he makes a big difference in that team.
They've bought average players. It's as simple as that. They're in the same boat as what Manchester United were last season. United had a squad full of average players. We had the one, shining light, the one world-class player, the one world-class performance here and there. But they've lost their world-class star. They've lost their world-class player. Gerrard's another year older. Is it 20-plus games now since he last scored a goal in open play in the Premier League?
It's got to be something like that. He's not turned into the regular goal scorer that he was, has he? And also, I think the sort of transformation into a defensive midfielder hasn't really worked. It doesn't really work with them sort of players. It's kind of like making Ronaldo into a defensive winger when he gets old. It doesn't always work. Just because they're losing their pace, it doesn't mean you can stick them back and hope that they're going to do okay. Also, Liverpool have the funds to bring in a good central defensive midfielder, and they haven't really done that. I mean, Emre Can looks like another one of Brendan's flop signings. A lot promised, but all way too much before the guys even started. There was talk of him being one of the best, most promising defensive midfielders in the world before we'd even seen him kick the ball. So
good on Football Manager.
Indeed. So yeah, I think that's fair to say he will be brilliant. But
look, at the end of the day, I think Liverpool gambled massively on Balotelli, and so far it's not really paid off. That could come back to haunt me. He could end up winning the Golden Boot in the Premier League. I don't know. He's got that ability, but you've just got to look at. He just doesn't look like he wants to be there. It's strange when he's gone to a new club. It's a decision that he's made. He could have quite happily stayed where he was. I'm pretty positive he could have maybe gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
Possibly to Arsenal. But he just doesn't look like he wants to be there. But he's always going to be a player that he plays for himself. It's as simple as that. Mario Balotelli plays for Mario Balotelli. He doesn't play for the team. He gets frustrated. He gets annoyed. He gets, it's just, he's like a child. He's a professional footballer, but he he acts on the football pitch as you see, go back to grassroots when you see 12, 13, 14-year-olds playing because they don't get the ball or they don't score. They react like a child, and he reacts like a child.
Definitely.
It's so easy to wind him up.
Definitely. Also, the way that Liverpool spent in the summer, it was the talk of, can United bring players in because of the Champions League? And Liverpool were like, well, we've got the Champions League, so we'll attract the better players. And, that's really backfired. It proves that, if they have the right manager, you can persuade certain players to join your team. Everyone knows Louis van Gaal's got a history of, greatness. And he must have spoke to players, next year we'll be in the Champions League, so maybe a year out. Doesn't really matter. But with Brendan Rodgers, he hasn't really got the CV to back up, Liverpool being in the Champions League.
I think that if they'd have kept hold of Suarez for one more season, then it had maybe been a different story. A bit similar to United and Ronaldo. It was clear he wanted to leave. He wanted to go. United didn't really want to let him go. And it was a case of, look, just give us 12 more months and you can go next year.
But that was the problem, though, wasn't it? That's what last season was, because don't forget, Suarez wanted to go the season before last.
Yeah, and Arsenal were quite close to getting him.
That's exactly what I mean. I've just got a point on Balotelli as well.
Yeah, sure.
One thing I've just noticed about him is he's a bit part player. Like, look where he's been his best. Like, look at Man City. He was good at Man City because they didn't actually need him. He was that person who came on at the end. Like, all his mischievousness was funny because Man City were top of the league and doing great, so it was funny.
Yeah, the best match we saw him play was against Manchester United, wasn't it? And
yeah, exactly.
And to be fair, I think the whole team had a very good match.
Let's not bring that up, guys. Come on.
But yeah, enough about that result. It was the Liverpool whole result was a poor result, and I think it's going to be tough to come back from that result. But on to the next match. It was a Manchester United versus Chelsea. It was a draw. Obviously, I didn't go to the match. It was away, but I know Richard went to the match. And
actually, just let me make a point here. I didn't actually go to the game because it was my 30th birthday the day before, and I was too hungover.
Fair enough.
So sorry, guys. I watched it on TV.
That's fair. That's fair enough. It's not like you chose not to go just for the sake of not going. But no, it was. What did you guys think of the match?
To be fair, I thought it was a pretty even game. I think it had maybe been a different story if Chelsea had been at full strength.
Yeah.
I think a couple of Chelsea's players that have been absolutely superb this season so far had off days, which was good for a United fan. I think Fabregas wasn't at his best.
No.
Hazard wasn't really at his best.
But I also think that was a good bit of defending as well. There was good defensive work from both teams. I think Luke Shaw probably had the best game in a United shirt I've seen so far.
He seems to be coming into his own a little bit. To be fair, obviously he had a pretty poor game against West Brom away, but we're forgetting here that this kid's a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he's come with a massive price tag on his head.
And also a lot of criticism in the last few weeks about his weight and stuff like that. It can't help a player.
If he's overweight, there's no hope for me. Put it that way.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, exactly. But it was to concede in the last minute is hurt. It hurts, but it wasn't heartbreaking as if we lost. We're still unbeaten. It was a good result. We didn't lose. So you've got to look at the positives.
It was a fair result in the end, I think.
Yeah.
I think United were better in the first half, and to be perfectly honest with you, I think if Falcao and Rooney would have been playing, United had probably put the game to bed before half time, and it could have been 3 or 4-0.
But then also saying that, I think Van Persie probably had the best game of the season so far as well.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, the best player on the pitch for me, for United, was Fellaini. And
yeah,
it's,
he did have a great game, but also with him, he throws arms a bit too much. You know, that could bring away from his performance a little bit. You know, every time he was going in for a challenge, he was lifting his elbow, and you know, I kind of felt that sort of took away from, you know, the way he played a little bit. But overall, he did have a very good match.
Yeah, but if it had caught John Terry, nobody would have really complained, would they? So.
I think with that match, I think the Premier League fans were actually a bit robbed, I think, because if you actually think of the players who were missing, think what that game could have been. I mean, Chelsea could have had Costa, and Man United could have had Falcao and Rooney. So it could. I think looking at it is, I think hopefully all those players are back, and we can hopefully get it back at the game at Stamford Bridge, because we really missed out there, I think.
I think we were probably just saving our best players for a big team, so resting them a little bit, you know.
Had to get that dig in. Oh well, we'll see you on Champions League night, eh? But yeah, the next match we're going to talk about is Tottenham-Newcastle. Now, another match where Tottenham have just failed to show quality again and have let a draw slip, but also a very poor goal to concede. Basically 6 seconds after half-time, Sammy Amiobi sprints past Eric Dyer and nets the goal. Did you guys get to see the match?
Yeah, I got to see the highlights. It's Tottenham once again. They obviously take 5 minutes to get out of the tunnel at half time and then start playing, because this isn't the first time it's happened. It happened at Man City last season. Tottenham's defence if you watch it back, I think it's been pointed out this weekend, they're talking to each other. There's just there's no cohesion in defence. Like Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool wouldn't do that. There's just something in that Tottenham defence which is so casual. Yeah,
and also I think it's partly because, you know, they got rid of Michael Dawson, who was kind of, you know, the leader in the team. You know, they haven't really got a governing centre back at the moment. You know, they have Kibble and Vertonghen, but I don't see them as leaders. You know, they don't seem the sort of players to be shouting at the other defenders, telling them to like get their head in shape. You know, the sort of Vidic, the sort of Terry, you know, Mertesacker. You see like them sort of players, and they're commanding. You know, but Tottenham, they don't seem to have that. They seem to have a very inexperienced team.
I think Vertonghen's a great player. I think he's.
Oh no, I think he's a great player.
A player I'd like to see at United.
I think he's a great player, but I don't see him as a leader.
There's just something. There's something about Spurs, and there always has been for a good number of seasons now, where, to be fair, they at Old Trafford a few years ago when they beat us 3-1, 3-2, whatever it was, and
when Bale scored,
Bale left, and they started to look like they had the makings of a team that could start to challenge, but they have that game where you just think, wow, they're brilliant. A couple of seasons ago, when they went 1-0 down to Man City at White Hart Lane, and they turned it round and they beat them 3-1, and it pretty much cost Man City the title. But just they never seem to kick on. They seem to get to a stage where you think, right, here we go, they're going to start now, and they fall away, and they then change the manager, and a new manager comes in with new philosophies and new players and new tactics. And they get up to where they need to be again, and they get into a point where they're going to challenge, and they'll more than likely fall away again this season. And I will not be surprised if they're looking for a new manager by the start of next season.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Right. So the next match was Swansea City versus Leicester. 2-0, easy work for Swansea. QPR 2-0 yesterday. Another easy match. Aston Villa have been very poor this season. Paul Lambert, I think, is the next manager to get sacked. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I completely agree. What is it now? Is it 4 matches without a goal now, something like that?
Could be a ridiculous stat especially when you have someone up top like Benteke.
Exactly. This is Aston Villa's coaching is just another example of bringing somebody in, i.e. Roy Keane, who I think they're just giving him experience, and I think he will end up getting the job, because I think he'll try and manage both Ireland and Aston Villa in the next coming years. I think that's why he's in that job.
That could be the truth, yeah.
Is it right that I've actually heard today that Watford and Leeds United have had 5 managers between them since Aston Villa last scored a goal?
I think that could actually be true, yeah.
That is an incredible stat if that is true. I know it's definitely not far off.
my personal opinion, I don't think Roy Keane will get the job. I really don't. I actually don't think Lambert will get sacked. I think Aston Villa are working on something there in regards to youth. Let's be honest. Aston Villa don't walk into a Premier League season, and this is no disrespect to Aston Villa. They don't walk into a season expecting to be challenging for the top places, to challenging for Europa League, for Champions League. They're a mid-table team, and we not even halfway through the season yet.
That's why I was so surprised when they got rid of Martin O'Neill, because I thought he had them playing the best football they have in my lifetime.
I think again with Aston Villa, they've got the potential there, but they've got so many players that have never really kicked on, and they've got players that are obviously. I mean, you've obviously got the centre back Ron Vlaar that's probably going to leave in January, otherwise he goes on a free transfer. You've got the Benteke situation last summer where he hands in a transfer request and then signs a new deal. And he wasn't the same player. You could tell he didn't want to be there. He's obviously got this injury, and now it's going to take Benteke 6, 7, 8 games to get back to probably where he was.
Yeah.
And if they don't give the manager that time, you can't turn around to a manager and say, your best player, your 20-goal a season striker has been injured all season. He's now back, and now we're going to sack you.
Exactly.
But they have Darren Bent. They have a proven Premier League goal scorer. Fair enough, he's not going to run round for 90 minutes, but he scores goals, but they just don't want to play him.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, I understand that he's getting old, but you might as well give someone a go, because it's not happening either way. And also, I don't understand why Abonglahor isn't playing up top, because he was a pretty good young striker a few years ago, but they seem to have moved him out on the wing to accommodate Benteke, but it's not working. You might as well switch around your team, because by the looks of it, I mean, as much as I don't really want to see another Premier League manager get sacked, it's going to happen, because managers don't last long now. Every person expects their team to be getting in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the mentality that clubs have got, haven't they? But I just think, if I don't know. I just don't think a team like Aston Villa should be getting rid of a manager. I mean, especially not of Paul Lambert's experience. What he did at Norwich was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just think obviously with Roy Keane, is he really a top flight manager? I mean, don't get me wrong. What he did for United was unreal, and he's a quality player, but has he really proven himself enough to be a Premier League manager? I don't know. I just why get rid of
and also it's the fact that, say if he gets the job, like say if Paul Lambert gets sacked now, I personally don't think Roy Keane's going to take the job, because I don't think he wants the hassle. It always seemed like his main focus was Ireland, so I don't understand why he would want to take this job now. This is, and also, if Roy Keane doesn't take that job, who else is there?
Is Neil Lennon still available?
No, he joined Bolton.
Has he gone to Bolton?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Yeah, that was I think 2 weeks ago now. But let's go on to the next match. Everton Burnley. What did you guys think of that result?
Yeah. Look, Everton have got that. They've got that in them, haven't they? Everton have got that ability to beat pretty much any team. Burnley is struggling. They're going to constantly struggle. I think they'll definitely go down. There's just, I don't know. I just think it was one of them games where it could have possibly gone either way. But obviously Everton just had that little bit extra quality.
Yeah, I think it was, and also Samuel Eto'o just had such a good match, and I was kind of hoping Lukaku wouldn't, but then he came good when it was needed.
That header from Samuel Eto'o was just unreal. I mean, he got one, didn't he, at Stamford Bridge? Was it at Stamford Bridge? No, it was at Goodison.
No, at Goodison when we played. It was like his first touch as an Everton player.
And it's just he's. I don't understand why they're not playing. Why not just play both of them up top every game?
It seems like the logical thing to do, but it's another one of these things. A manager chooses his team, and you can't change that. Everyone from outside can see it, but we all want to choose our own teams, but it's always different for every fan. Right, sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll resume the chat show now. Our next topic is Premier League overseas. The proposal of a match being played over abroad for each team. What do you guys think of this topic?
I think I can safely say we're all in agreement that it could possibly be one of the worst ideas we've ever heard. I'd be right in saying that.
Definitely.
Yeah, friendlies, pre-season tours, I get them, but I mean, come on, this is purely on the basis of what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. This is purely on the basis of Sky, BT Sports, the Premier League, trying to make more money. Let's be perfectly honest with everybody. Who in China, India, America, Brazil, Mexico, Russia, who's going to want to watch Burnley versus QPR?
Exactly. Burnley and QPR don't want to watch Burnley and QPR. No disrespect to them fans, I'm only joking. But
come on, I mean, let's be honest. This is purely aimed at the top 4, 5, 6 clubs.
Yeah.
To try and get United, Chelsea to play each other in America, or to get City versus Liverpool in Spain or Mexico, or it's just absolutely ludicrous. It is. The fact the stadiums sell out. United, Real Madrid sold 109,000, and it was a great game, but it was a friendly.
Exactly. But and also, let's say this certain match is a title decider. Say like it's Chelsea and Man City, the vital match of the last game, and why can't the fans who go to this week in, week out enjoy this just because they want to make money?
Yeah, it's
and also they market it back from the NBA and the NFL how well it's done in England. Well, it will do good in England because it's a sport that you don't see. We don't have
It's a novelty.
Exactly. We don't have that sport in the UK. So people think, well, I'm not going to get another chance to see it unless it's on TV. I'll go for the experience. Now, you could put any sport at Wembley and it will sell out if it's unique.
Apart from England matches.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're not unique, let's be honest. But when you look at like NFL and NBA, people don't go, I need to see this. People are thinking, oh, that'll be a fun experience because they don't get to see it. But they have a Major League Soccer like franchise in America. They have this. And something they can see on TV. We don't go, okay, we need to see Chicago Bulls v Miami Heat. If it's over here, people will see it. But we're not pining for it. So I don't understand why they feel that they'd need to play this match abroad.
I completely agree with those points just brought up. It's so annoying because you just think to yourself like us three here, we go to matches, we just get ripped off non-stop, and then you're going to end up finding out that all this money we've paid means nothing because all the teams are just going to go abroad.
Exactly. And also, exactly, the matches aren't exactly cheap now. So what do they expect fans to do? It just seems like they're taking away all the power from the fans. And
like you say, look, it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be a working man's sport. It's a working man's game. Nobody in the Bundesliga are discussing playing their games in different countries. They're season in, season out, trying to make it so that it's cheaper and more accessible for the fans to go to games. And Borussia Dortmund don't do bad in regards to revenue, in regards to success, in regards to world-class talent.
Yeah, exactly.
They charge, €22 for a ticket for a game, and
Yeah.
120 quid is it on 220 euros or something for a season ticket?
Yeah, it's amazing because also they see the fans. I don't think in England they see the fans, they see profit.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of culture when it comes to the English game. But
yeah, I think just on a point on that as well in regards to season ticket prices, I just want to obviously say, I don't know whether anybody saw a couple of weeks ago on the BBC do a report on it every season in regards to costings for fans to go to games and things like that.
Yeah.
I just want to say, for the second season, I've looked at this now on BBC Sport. The second season, Manchester City have had the lowest season ticket at, is it £299 or £199, something like that. So for a club like Manchester City that are buying players, paying big wages, playing in the Champions League, to be able to offer their fans a season ticket for that price, I just think that's actually commendable. Especially when you look at the cheapest season ticket at certain clubs, you know, in London, for instance, being over £1,000, United £700-800.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's Man City isn't commendable. That's like for £300, like that should be the maximum.
Yeah,
it's only because when we compare it with other teams, it then becomes a good thing, but it shouldn't be. That should just be the norm. It shouldn't cost more than £250 to have a season ticket. I mean, what's a season ticket anyway? It's 19 home matches a season for some clubs.
Exactly, and if like Chelsea, you have to buy extra tickets for cup matches, and you know you don't get discount or anything. You don't get anything for being a season ticket fan other than you're guaranteed one the season after. But
the thing is, if you don't pay and you've had one for 60 years, but 1 year you can't get the money together,
exactly, people aren't going to be. Yeah, the club aren't going to be waiting for you. You're a statistic. You're nothing else. And you know, until we bring in a rule where things like this can't happen. And I mean, like perfect example is, why would Manchester City want to enlarge their stadium, expand their stadium, when they can't fill it anyway? You know, people are saying like, oh, I'm not clued up on this, but people are saying that their season tickets are on a waiting list. Well, why are their season tickets on a waiting list when so many fans are not entering the stadium? I'm sure you guys have an opinion on this.
I think with that, I mean, you know, I don't know. They must. It's a little bit. It's a little bit embarrassing for Manchester City. Let's be honest. So, you know, to be advertising buy one get one free on tickets and things, and not being
especially for a Premier League team that consider themselves to be a big team now.
Well, let's be honest, okay. Even if you're a neutral, you know, Manchester City have got some of the best players in the world. You know.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I can grow up as a 30-year-old bloke now and say that I've seen Zidane, Figo, Fat Ronaldo, you know, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen, Ian Rush, John Barnes. I've seen all these players play football.
Yeah.
You know, Man City, why would you not want to go? Why would you not want to go and watch Aguero, David Silva, Yaya Toure?
Yeah, exactly. That's the bit that I can't get. They're probably playing the best football in their history, and for a team that kept such good attendance when they went down, to suddenly have, I mean, maybe it's because they've gone to a bigger stadium. Main Road wasn't huge, but you know, it's still very surprising, you know, because to see a team like that, just an empty stadium against a team like Real Madrid, is just astounding.
And that's another thing as well, you know, to go back to the point of this game being played away. I mean, Man City can't fill their stadium every week. United don't fill their stadium every week. Chelsea don't fill their stadium every week. Arsenal don't. Why do they think it's a good idea to take the players, the team that we spend our money on week in, week out, season in, season out, and go and play Arsenal versus Spurs in Bangladesh? Why?
Because they can charge what they want in that match. They can only charge so much for the North London derby at Arsenal or Tottenham. But if they take it to Singapore, they'll charge for whatever they want. They could easily charge £200 easily as a starting price for Arsenal, Tottenham in Singapore.
Yeah, a perfect example, the North London derby, like live from New York. The amount of like Arsenal fans that probably never get to see them are never going to be able to see them. If the tickets are £300 plus, they would pay that.
Exactly.
It's the same as when you see an event in London. You know, it's the same when you see like the NBA tickets, the UFC. You know, it's a novelty thing. People won't get to see it again, so they think, okay, I'm going to splash out and make sure I buy that ticket.
Can you imagine the uproar in London if the North London derby is played away from either White Hart Lane or the Emirates in 18 months?
I think it'll happen. It'll happen easily. I know for a fact.
The minute they find that they can make enough money from it, it will happen without a doubt. Because it's the same that they would do it with the Manchester derby. You know, it's they will do anything to make a profit.
But we're talking in clubs here like Man United who make the thing that annoys me, if all these teams were on the brink of bankruptcy and they came up and said, listen guys, we've got to do this to keep our team to keep this club afloat. But they're not. These are multi-million profit teams, and yet they think we can't. This is not enough. We want to make more money and get a new market of fans that we can sell shirts to every season.
Yeah, just because they get TV ratings from abroad, they think that they're going to sell out.
Exactly.
It's going to be a 39th game. It's going to be an extra game. Okay, so what is it? If we're going to say, right, okay, this next season the 39th game is going to be played in America, and it's going to be just another fixture. But who do we play? So does that mean one season United played Chelsea 3 times, or they played Burnley 3 times, or
exactly
they play Liverpool 3 times?
Like, do you change the whole league structure so you can suit?
We're talking about changing something that doesn't need changing, because one way or another, there's going to be a game that's played in a different country, which absolutely nobody's going to want to watch.
No. Yeah, so exactly.
It just defeats the object completely. And then we're talking about this 39th game. Is that going to be scrapped when it's a World Cup year? Is that going to be scrapped when it's a European Championships year? How can, let's say, for instance, it comes in next season and Chelsea get to the European Cup final. How can they play their 39th game in New York if they've got the Champions League in Madrid?
And also, a perfect example is, you look at other leagues, and if Real Madrid are in a cup final against a team from England, the La Liga will set out so they get enough rest, because the La Liga want to see that team bring back the trophy. But for instance, like tonight, Chelsea are playing Shrewsbury a day break after they've played Man United. So the fixtures are already congested as it is, and the Premier League aren't helping any of the British teams do this. So, so what are they going to do when this stupid match comes in? And also, like these friendly cups and stuff like that, Chelsea done it when they've done the MLS like All-Star Trophy. Do they really think Chelsea fans are sitting going, I can't wait for this match? It's a friendly match, pre-season. Nobody cares about it, apart from the MLS, because they want to get exposure.
Well, that's it as well, isn't it? Are we not talking now that the 39th game, because they've done the season and everything, so that means now that what could happen is the 39th game is just everybody's reserves against everybody else's reserves. It's a complete waste of time then anyway, because if it's a World Cup year, Yaya Touré's not going to be going, oh yeah, I can't wait for this match in the MLS, risking him not being able to be fit for the World Cup. He's going to go, no, I'm not playing.
Exactly. Let's be fair though. We don't like it when you miss his birthday. So.
No, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, let's after that that was a great topic, guys. But let's go on to the next topic. I know one that Andrew is very interested in. Can Arsenal fully replace Arsene Wenger? After recent matches, we've seen that his tactics aren't changing. He isn't really. He looks like he's trying too hard, but it's not working out for him. You know, he's bringing in new players, but they're not the players that everyone thinks Arsenal needs. What do you think, Andrew?
I think basically the way I've got it is short term, no, they can't replace him. But long term, yes. By what I mean by that is what will happen is it'll just be the same as when Fergie goes. When Arsene Wenger does go, it'll be 2 seasons of we don't know what's going on, we're not sure where the club's going. But the good thing with Arsenal is Arsene has built such an infrastructure at Arsenal that on the business side can afford no Champions League. So I think with that, it's what he's done is he's made it so that his successor can do it. He can, in the long term, replace him. Whereas on the pitch side of it, it's going to be tough because all these players trust in Arsene Wenger so much. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to be quite tough once he leaves. I think that's just inevitable with managers who are there longer than most likely 10 years. So I think possibly short term, no, but in the long term, I think, yeah, it will.
I think all of us are still kind of astonished that he gets into the Champions League every year.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's
so,
but the
does that...
Though,
yeah, go.
Sorry
no,
about that. The thing is, years ago, I think when I talk to Arsenal fans, a lot of them agree. I think a few years ago, Arsene Wenger went, right, Man United, Chelsea, City, they spend millions. We can't compete. Why don't I just get a team together that'll guarantee me Champions League, so fourth. Just get fourth every year. And that's it. That's it. Because he's a master at finishing fourth. So he just realised, if I keep doing this, it's an easy job for me. I pick up my £7 million check a year.
Yeah.
And I'm sorted. That's what a lot of people are frustrated with.
Also, I think it's going to be hard for him to get fourth this year, because I think this is the year that there's a lot challenging to get in the top 4. And I think, I think Chelsea, Man City are a given. We don't know what's going to happen with Liverpool, United, Tottenham, all the other teams that could come up and surprise. Southampton have.
That's the thing, though. I think this is probably actually the easiest one, because if you think, because Tottenham are just in the Europa League, so they've proved how inconsistent they are. I think Man United, of course, are going to be the main rival for that fourth, but I mean, they'll probably end up finishing third. So you give the top 3's already sorted. Liverpool, as we've all pointed out, is the fact that they're so inconsistent and can't score, and then that leaves Everton, who have Europa League as well. So I think this actually could be.
You don't see Southampton, maybe?
I think Southampton have done. You guys know when I was on last time. Southampton are a great club. They've shown great resilience, but they're not going to be in the top 4. They're March or something like that. Season, no, exactly. Richard's right. Yeah.
I mean, look. You've got to look at it this way with Arsenal. I know they're not having the best of seasons so far, but they've lost once all season, and the pure and simple fact with Arsenal is, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, they've not got a striker who's going to score you 20 plus goals a season. And if Arsenal get that striker, then Arsenal will be challenging for titles again.
Do you not think Sanchez might get 20 goals this season though?
I don't think he will, and I really don't think he will. I think it won't be long, and it's probably going to be the same with Di Maria. It won't be long until teams start playing him onto his weaker foot and kicking him about, and he's.
Yeah, you could also say Chelsea sort of figured him out. He didn't do much against Chelsea. You'd actually think that you didn't notice he was playing at some points when we played.
But the thing is, though, that Chelsea performance was just ridiculous by that defence. That's probably one of the best defensive performances you're going to see for a long time. So I think in that match, no Arsenal player turned up solely based on the fact that Chelsea were so good.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point.
I just think with Arsene Wenger, he's got to a point now where maybe he is comfortable. He's comfortable at Arsenal. He's comfortable with. I mean, come on, let's not be naive. I don't think he's comfortable with finishing 4th or 3rd. The bloke wants to win titles, and they got their FA Cup last season. If they win a trophy again this season, then so be it. But I don't think they're ever going to compete for the top titles and compete on the fact of Champions League finals again until they've got that striker that's going to.
But also with the fact with them, it feels like they would get that striker, that 20 goal plus a year striker, and he'd get injured.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like that seems to be the issue with them.
If you go back to the Arsenal teams that went undefeated, and you go back to the Arsenal teams that got to Champions League finals, etc., they had players in them squads that people were scared of. And is anybody really scared of Danny Welbeck? Is anybody really scared of Jack Wilshere? Is anybody really scared of Sanchez?
No.
They don't have that fear factor about them. You know, I'm a United fan, and I used to hate the fact that we'd go to Highbury because I knew that the likes of Pires and Thierry Henry and Bergkamp and Vieira...
That's the thing. They had such a... Similar to most top teams, they have a good... It's not just that one superstar. They had about 5. And then they had... The rest of the team was built up with promising young players. And, you know, I don't think they're going to get that again because back when they had that, you know, there wasn't many teams that would be buying players that were already like first team quality. But now you have Chelsea who can buy a player that they feel would be perfect in that position instead of developing a youngster. Where before they only really had to worry about Manchester United, but now they've got to worry about like Spurs, United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea. You know, so. And also, I think the big problem is injuries. They never settle on a first 11 because they don't know who's going to be injured in the next week.
Well, yeah, I think Arsenal's on I think it's 900 and something injury in the past 10 years, something like that. 921st, I think the last statistic I saw, but it's probably more since then. And I think, yeah, it's just there's such an inconsistency in the modern day side. I think again, like what you guys are saying, I think Arsenal aren't on that level of Chelsea, Man United, Man City. They spend just as many wages, but they're not on the level. They're the top 3 of you two guys in Man City is just on a different level because Arsenal, as you say, like you guys have players who other teams are scared of. Arsenal don't at all.
And also regarding the latest, you go ahead, Richard.
Players, though. Arsenal have the finances. Arsenal have Arsenal have the lure of Champions League of finishing in the top half of the table, finishing 4th. You know, they've got regardless of which way you look at it, they've got a world-class manager. They just, I don't know, they have the opportunity every single transfer window to go out there and spend. I mean, come on, let's be honest. They tried to buy Suarez for £50 million. Okay, if Liverpool had have accepted that bid, would Suarez have gone to Arsenal? Possibly, maybe, we don't know. But if they've got that £50 million to chuck at Liverpool for Suarez, why not chuck that £50 million at Real Madrid for Benzema or Napoli for Higuain or, you know...
Yeah, just bring in a name.
Just look, it's £50 million and maybe Arsenal don't want to spend £50 million and we maybe don't want to spend 250 grand a week on a player. But I know what, as an Arsenal fan, if we spent £50 million on a player and paid 200 grand a week for his wages and he bags 25, 30 goals and we win the Premier League, I know what I'd rather have.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and regarding this topic, who do you guys think would replace Wenger?
David Moyes.
I think short term, I think Jurgen Klopp would be the person to do it. But long term, I'm not 100% sure. But I think a lot of Arsenal fans from who I talk to would love Jurgen Klopp to take over. Even
in the current Dortmund situation?
But look at them in the Champions League, though. Obviously, the group's not great. But, I mean, with Dortmund, they are inconsistent. I'll give you that. They are inconsistent in this league. But we can't say Jurgen Klopp's not a good manager. He took Dortmund to the Champions League final in 2013.
That's true.
What about Martinez?
Well, yeah, that's the person I brought up last time. He is struggling in Europe, though. That's the only thing that I think a lot of people would be put off with.
Well, is that not just the basis, though, that Everton don't have the squad to cope? I mean, look at Laudrup with Swansea. They didn't have the squad to cope with Europa League and the Premier League week in, week out, and the Carling Cup and the FA Cup and anything else that they've got to do week in, week out.
Oh yeah, I completely see your point there. It's just I think for Arsenal fans it'd actually be good to see probably Everton in the Champions League just to see what Martinez would be like, because I think a manager going from Europa League straight to Champions League, say let's just say this summer, Wenger did retire and we had Martinez, I think a lot of people would be still apprehensive on what his philosophy would be come Europe if, say, Everton carry on the way they are in the Europa League.
Yeah, I think, you've got to look at it. There's so many good managers out there. Managers that get overlooked on a week in, week out basis. Look at what Laurent Blanc's doing. He's an extremely good manager. He's obviously one of the world's best players when he was playing week in, week out. You've got so many players out there that have gone on to manage clubs, and maybe they don't get the recognition that other managers get because they're not at the very, very big clubs. And this might be, people might listen to this when it goes out there and they might laugh, but Steve Bruce, what he does, whichever club he's been at,
he is a quality manager,
and he's never ever been given that chance to be a top 4 manager. And I'll say it, Sam Allardyce, what he does at football clubs, Martin O'Neill, what he did at football clubs, and he never got the chance to be. I mean, don't get me wrong. Celtic are a big club and they're big in Scotland, but it's Scottish football. There's only 2 teams that ever win the league, and that's been proved when Rangers went into administration and obviously had to start again. No one's ever challenged Celtic. And didn't they wrap the league up last season with about 15 games to go by about 500 points, or whatever it was?
Yeah, but it's so one-sided that it's not worth showing up half the time.
But you've got to look at that. Martin O'Neill, great manager, never been given a chance at a top club. Steve Bruce, great manager. Give him his opportunity. Sam Allardyce, give him his opportunity. It's crazy when you think of, look, it's English managers. Let's not sugarcoat over it. It's English managers. They don't get the recognition that they deserve. British managers. Let me rephrase that. British managers do not get the recognition that they deserve. Brendan Rodgers, he's a top quality manager. He's been given his chance at Liverpool and he's turned Liverpool round. This season they're not doing well, but he's been given his chance. He's turned Liverpool round. If Arsenal get rid of Arsene Wenger, they will overlook every single British manager there is, and they'll try and find someone that's playing week in, week out in Europe. And will that be a success? Obviously, time will only tell, but why not give a British manager a chance? Give your Steve Bruce's a chance to go out there and say, yeah, I've done it at Hull, I've done it at Sunderland, I've done it at Birmingham. Let me give me a go. Let me have a go at Arsenal. Let me have a go at United. Yeah. Let me have a go somewhere.
But I would say to that point, I think David Moyes has probably put British managers back about 5 or 10 years by because everyone's just because that was it. That was exactly
especially
This is a British manager.
But the thing, especially at that point, because he was the British manager. There wasn't anyone else. He was the second coming, and he failed miserably. I mean, everyone knew that he was going to fail, but the way he did it just.
Let's be honest here. He failed, okay, but I think Manchester United failed him a little bit as well.
Yeah, he didn't have, and also he didn't have the easiest of runs at the start. He's had a better run than Van Gaal did, and played a lot like tougher teams.
But the thing is with that, United failed him, quite miserably. To be perfectly honest, I think going to that point, I think it would have been a different story. United lost Ferguson, obviously. But to lose David Gill was the turning point. I think if David Gill had still been chief exec, some of the deals that were ruined, messed about, missed out on, I think they'd have been tied up. We'd have maybe have had Herrera 12 months before than what we had. We'd have maybe had the likes of Fabregas, maybe the likes of Tony Cruz. We could have maybe bought some of these players, and it'd have been a different story. But United also failed David Moyes a little bit. Let's be honest there. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't his biggest fan. I didn't think it was the right choice. I thought there was a lot better out there than David Moyes and deserved the chance to manage Manchester United. But United also failed him because it must be a sickening feeling for the likes of David Moyes to sit there and know that he got fired after 9 months of the job, and then Manchester United give the new manager £200 million to spend.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Everybody saw the problems United had. Everybody saw the cracks. Everybody saw the players. Was it the case that Moyes didn't have that anger in him to do what Louis van Gaal did and come in and say, right, you're not good enough, you're going? Was he naive? He did exactly the same thing as Ron Atkinson did in the 80s. Ron Atkinson came in and he knew the players that had to go. He knew the players that weren't performing. But he was a new manager. He came in and said, look, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a season. And it backfired on Ron Atkinson as well. Yeah,
he came in and gave too much trust.
Yeah, and Moyes has come in and gone, right, okay, we'll maybe have a look at you. You might obviously get a second chance under me. You might perform better. I'll play you week in, week out. But let's be honest, the players that have left Manchester United, the likes of Tom Cleverley, the likes of Danny Welbeck, your Nannies, Vidic, Ferdinand, Evra, were all coming to the end of their careers. They weren't good enough. They weren't performing. They weren't week in, week out talent. And maybe if David Moyes have had that little bit of backbone and come in and gone, right, you're going, you're not staying. I'm bringing in my own players. I'm getting these players out. These are the players that I want. Then maybe it's a different story. But, again, time will only tell. Maybe if he does go to Arsenal and Arsenal give him £150 million to spend, he wins the league with Arsenal. You never know.
All I can say, it's a big job for anyone who's coming in. But the next topic we've got is the Ballon d'Or trophy, the structure of the trophy and how we've seen it develop in the last few years, and also our picks on who is the winner of the 2014 Ballon d'Or. So, guys, I don't know if you've seen the shortlists.
Isn't the shortlist, the one for the young players, got about 25 players on it, hasn't it?
What I've seen. Yeah, it's got a lot of players, but
I've got to be honest, guys. I'm not the massive fan of the Ballon d'Or. Bear in mind, this is a trophy that Michael Owen won and Thierry Henry didn't, because it's just I'm not a fan of the Ballon d'Or. It's kind of like this thing of let's get all the best players in the world and let's all get FIFA together and everything, and we'll all have a nice party and we'll talk about how much money we all have and all that.
I can't say I dislike it, but I'm disinterested. I lost sort of faith when it became Messi, Ronaldo. We understand that they're great players, but they aren't the only players in the world. And if you're going to continuously start adding 3 people who are the only ones who are ever likely to win it, why have a 23-man list?
Exactly.
And also, it kind of annoys me that you only really see attacking players get given acknowledgement, but you don't see any defenders other than Cannavaro a few years ago, even though we've had some amazing defenders in the last 20 years.
It's the glamour of football. It's the way football's gone. It's as simple as that. And go back in the day, the best players won the individual trophies. It's as simple as that. And it wasn't a case of right, we'll pick from 15,000 players. It's the fact that the best player from the best league wins the trophy. It's as simple as that. And now it's just a gala event. It's more money. It's glitz and glamour, and it's just, to be fair, it's becoming the Oscars. And it's cringeworthy. Look, we all know that Ronaldo's going to win the Ballon d'Or. He was the best player last season.
Yeah. So Ronaldo's your pick?
Yeah, we don't need a 4-hour glitz and glamour show and fireworks and VTs and celebrities handing out gifts and whatever else. We don't need that. Ronaldo last season was the best player in the world. When Messi won it, he was the best player in the world. When Raul won it, he was the best player in the world. When Fat Ronaldo won it, he was the best player in the world. It's as simple as that. The best player in the world wins that trophy. And everybody knows it's going to be Ronaldo.
So, Richard, that's your vote. Andrew, what's your vote? I take it it's Ronaldo?
No, actually, I think from going off your point from what you said before, I was thinking about this before. I'd love to see actually Neuer win.
That's
the Ballon
exactly
d'Or
who
this
I
year.
was just about to say. That's
Yeah,
it.
well, a World Cup winner, goalkeeper. He's the best goalkeeper in the world, and he's the reason why Bayern Munich wins so much because they have that great defence with him there.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. He's the player. I know Ronaldo is brilliant, and he's, I don't think we're going to see another player like him again. But I feel with Neuer, he carried a team, and he done things that we didn't see a goalkeeper do.
If Manuel Neuer wins the Ballon d'Or, I'll buy you both season tickets for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I can't see it happening. I think
to see it happen.
Yeah, because I would also like to not see it going to an attacking player as much as I rate Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. Sometimes you want to see it changed up. And one thing that really annoyed me, like more than anything about this year's Ballon d'Or, is how the hell did Sergio Ramos get in the 23-man list?
He did score some
the
good
same
goals.
team, though, isn't it?
Exactly, but yeah, I understand he scored some important goals, but he's completely overrated.
Well, look, at the end of the day, look, we're not silly, are we?
Yeah.
You wait for FIFA, it's the same players week in, week out, and season in, season out, and it's not going to change, unfortunately. And I kind of see the reason as to why they left Suarez out. Maybe he should have been involved in it some way, but then can you be really giving a player what he's done over the last 18 months or so some sort of recognition? I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably still part of the punishment. But then when you see the team of the year, and a couple of years ago we saw Busquets in it, I kind of lost faith because we have some amazing players in the Premier League and it's just no chance. It's like, do you watch anything other than Real Madrid and Barcelona? Even when Schneider was in it, it was a team full of Real Madrid and Barcelona players and Schneider just plonked in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like they're forcing him to pick one player from another league, and it just angers me. But then saying that's UEFA and FIFA for you. Did you guys get to see the world coach list?
Yeah, I was surprised, just purely on the basis of what he's done and how well Liverpool were last season. Why Brandon Rodgers wasn't on there, to be perfectly honest. But it's just I don't know. Is there a need for it? Is there an actual need for recognition? I don't understand it. Do we actually need it? Season in, season out. It's purely to boost the egos of individual talent. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I don't think we need it because also, Ronaldo, I think it was today or it might have been yesterday, where he picked up 3 awards for being the La Liga best player. It's like you can get the whoever sponsored this event trophy, you'll get the La Liga trophy, then the Ballon d'Or, and then a completely different trophy to say you're the best at what you do. And are these players' trophy cabinets big enough?
Look, at the end of the day, when all's said and done, it's a trophy in a cabinet. It's as simple as that. And you're going to be remembered for what you do on a football pitch, and if you need recognition for that, then so be it. But I just think it's got to a point now where it's just glitz and glamour, and it's just a case of it's a night out for people, isn't it? It's a night out for the stars, and it's I just don't get it. I just don't understand it at all.
I mean, nobody's looking back at old history and thinking with George Best, I wish I would have seen him pick up a Ballon d'Or trophy. It's the last thing people think of. Exactly.
People are going to remember you for the talent that you had on the pitch, the amazing goals you scored, the way you played football, the way you behaved. That's what people are going to remember.
Exactly. And also what Andrew just said, Michael Owen got the Ballon d'Or and Thierry Henry didn't. But nobody's looking back and thinking, Thierry Henry, he's nothing. He didn't win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, say, Richard, I think he's probably summed it up the best way. It's just the football Oscars. It's just, let's try and make a bit more money for FIFA, and let's try and shake the hands of the people who've made us millionaires.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. as far as I'm concerned, if they're doing it on a football pitch, then that's good enough for me. Simple
100%. Right, well, this concludes this episode, guys. Thank you both.
Just before we go, guys, I just want to say, obviously we talk about the Premier League and La Liga and Championship and things on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Just want to chuck in congratulations, really, to Manchester City's ladies team and to Liverpool's ladies team.
Yeah, they both both played excellent. I watched the match.
Especially with Manchester City's ladies team, this is their first season together, and to win a trophy. I don't know whether actually anybody keeps up to date with it with a ladies team, but I think there was 3 or 4 teams that could have won it on the last day of the season.
Yeah, I watched the last match. I watch it when I can when it's on BT Sport. I can't say I'm a full-on follower, but I'll watch it when I can because it's football. And do you know what? I was really impressed by the quality of the match. It was it was
actually say to people, if you get the chance, go on to BBC Sports website. It should still be on there. You might have to search for it now because it was a few weeks ago. But look for the women's football goal of the season. The nominations for goal of the season. Some of the goals that were scored this season by the women's teams was just unreal. And if anybody else, if Ronaldo, Messi, Rooney, Van Persie, Costa were scoring goals like they were, people would be talking about it for the next 10, 15 years.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, definitely check it out. But obviously, congratulations to the 2 women's teams there to obviously win the league. Something Liverpool's men's team weren't able to do. Obviously, I'd put the females out from now on, Brandon, if I were you, mate.
One last dig before we can go, I see. But yeah, thank you to everyone who stayed and watched this. Thank you for Andrew for coming on once again. We hope you can come on again in the future because you've been a brilliant guest.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I've really enjoyed it.
No worries, always welcome. And if you have any questions, please leave them below in the comment section. Please share this video on your social networking pages. And thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Right, nice one. Cheers, guys.
Take care, mate.
All right, guys.